The sticker price says $500,000. You are holding the key. You are 33. Your wife squeezed your hand in the car and called it ours. The realtor told you it is the best investment you will ever make. You believe her because your parents believed her, because every dinner table in America has been repeating this one sentence for 40 years. But the folder in your hand is 87 pages long. And somewhere on page 42, there is a number nobody said out loud. The total you will actually pay over 30 years is $1,112,000. The house did not cost $500,000. It never did. You just sign up to pay for 2 houses and take home one. This is the story of the cheapest, most expensive decision most Americans will ever make, and the math the real estate industry prays you never run. Stay with me. We are going to run it. Let us go back. 8 months before closing, you and Maya are in a rented apartment paying $2,200 a month, and the landlord just raised it again. Every Saturday afternoon has become the same ritual. Laptop open, Zillow refreshed, the same 3 words on loop. You are throwing your money away. Your dad says it at Thanksgiving. Your boss says it at lunch. Your Instagram feed says it 40 times a day with aerial drone shots of kitchens you could never afford. So you do what every functional adult in America does. You pick a number you can barely stretch to. $500,000, 30-year fixed, 20% down. You tell yourself it is an investment. You tell yourself rent is burning cash. You tell yourself you are finally being responsible. You have not run the numbers. Nobody around you has ever run the numbers. You are about to learn why the people who benefit from this decision are very, very quiet. Fast forward to closing day. You are signing for 2 hours. Your hand cramps around page 30. The loan officer smiles the entire time. She is earning a commission on your decision, and she is not going to interrupt you. Here is what you just signed. Purchase price $500,000. Down payment $100,000. The entire savings you have built since your first paycheck. Loan amount $400,000. Interest rate 7%. Term 360 months. Monthly principal and interest $2,661. That number alone should stop the room. But there are 4 more numbers behind that the realtor never said. Property tax $417 a month. Homeowners insurance $145. HOA fee $190. Private mortgage insurance you would have dodged with 25% down, but you fell just under. Your true monthly housing payment is not the advertised one. It is $3,413. That is 55% higher than the apartment you just left. Welcome to the house you believed you could afford. 6 weeks in, you cannot sleep. You open the amortization schedule at 1 in the morning because you finally wanted to see what that 7% actually means. The first rule, at a 30-year fixed, the first 10 years of every dollar you pay goes mostly to the bank, not to you. Month 1, your payment is $2,661. Of that, $2,333 is pure interest. $328 pays down the loan. You are not building equity. You are renting the money. Multiply that across 30 years, and the total interest you will pay the bank is $557,000, more than the original price of the house. You did not buy a house for $500,000. You bought it for $957,000 and change. And that is before property tax, before maintenance, before the roof. The house sitting under you is a slow-motion invoice, and it just started printing. You are telling Marcus about it over coffee. Marcus is your friend from college who still rents. He listens. He pulls up his phone. He asks one question. What did you do with your $100,000 down payment? You say, I bought equity. He says, let me show you something. He opens a compound interest calculator. $100,000 in an S&P 500 index fund. Average return 7% after inflation. Left alone for 30 years. $761,000. You stare at the screen. Your down payment, if you had kept renting and invested it, would have grown to $761,000 by the time your hypothetical mortgage was paid off. That is the opportunity cost nobody ever shows you. The down payment is not dead money sitting in walls. It is money that would have been working for you somewhere else. Marcus sips his latte. He is not gloating. He just did the math you never did. Year 3, the county reassessed your property. The value went up 14%, which sounds like great news. The letter in your hand says your annual property tax just went from $5,000 to $5,700. Welcome to the tax nobody warned you about. Property tax in most of the United States goes up with the assessed value, and it never comes down when the market cools. Over 30 years at an average 3% annual increase, you will pay $238,000 just in property tax. That is a second down payment on an imaginary second house. You will never see that money again. Renters complain about rent going up. Owners find out their rent also goes up. It is just called a tax bill, and you pay it to the county instead of the landlord. The difference is you cannot move out of it. Year 5, 2 in the morning. Something in the basement sounds like a waterfall. You stumble downstairs in your t-shirt and find out that a hot water heater has a life expectancy of 10 years, and the previous owner installed this one 12 years ago. Emergency plumber at midnight, $1,800. The rule of owning a house nobody teaches you. Budget 1 to 3% of the value of the home every single year for maintenance. On a $500,000 home, that is $5,000 to $15,000 a year. Over 30 years, call an average of $7,000 a year. $210,000 gone into roofs, HVAC, water heaters, appliances, paint, driveways, trees, fences, and emergency plumbers at 2 a.m. When you rented, the landlord paid this tax. When you own, the house is the landlord, and you are both the tenant and the one writing the check. Year 7. The HOA just voted to raise a monthly fee from $190 to $240 to pay for a new pool resurface nobody, except the board, actually wanted. There's also a special assessment of $2,800 per household for a retaining wall on the far side of the subdivision you have never seen. The PMI you thought would disappear at 20% equity is still on your statement because the loan servicer requires a new appraisal, and they schedule it whenever they feel like it. Small numbers. Each one feels survivable. Add them up over 30 years. HOA at an average of $225 a month, $81,000 total. PMI for the first 7 years, $12,600. Special assessments, call it $20,000 across 3 decades. Insurance premium drift, another $40,000 above inflation. These are the leaks the brochure forgot to mention, and you cannot vote them away. Imagine you decide to sell. Year 10, the house has appreciated 4% a year, a healthy run. It is worth $740,000 on paper. You mentally pocket $240,000 in profit. Then the realtor hands you the net sheet. 6% commission, $44,000. Transfer tax and title, $11,000. Seller concessions to close the deal, $8,000. Prep, paint, staging, the broken railing, another $7,000. $90,000 disappears before you even look at the principal balance still owed on the mortgage. After paying off the loan, you walk away with about $225,000 in cash. Good. Now, look at what you paid in 10 years. $44,000 in principal built, $272,000 paid in interest and taxes and maintenance, and HOA and insurance and fees. Your actual 10-year return is thin. You did not buy an investment. You bought a very expensive 4 savings account with a leaky roof. Now the side-by-side. Same 30-year window. Same 33-year-old. Same $100,000. And same $3,400 monthly capacity. Scenario A is the life you just signed into. Total paid on a house, $1,112,000. Ending home equity after selling and fees, roughly $680,000 in today's purchasing power. Scenario B is the renter. Rent $3,400 a month. Yes, it rises over time. Invest the down payment and every monthly difference into a 3-fund index portfolio at 7% real return. After 30 years, the portfolio is worth $1,480,000. Liquid, accessible, not tied to a roof. Difference, about $800,000. That is a figure the industry does not want on a billboard. Owning made you feel richer. Renting and investing actually made you richer. The math is not subtle. The math is violent. 10 years after closing, you are standing on the porch looking at identical houses in either direction. Your neighbor Steve refinanced twice and is underwater on a helic. The family across the street got transferred to Denver and took a $40,000 loss to get out of their home in 6 months. The couple two doors down, the Petersons, are house rich and cash poor. They cannot afford to replace their 20-year-old car because every dollar is locked in the walls. And you are not broke. You are not ruined, but you are tethered. You cannot take the job in Austin. You cannot go back to school. You cannot put a year into a business. The mortgage is a leash, and you stitched it to yourself at 33. The house did not make you wealthy. It made you stable and slightly smaller. Those are not the same thing. And here's the part nobody says out loud. The 30-year mortgage was not designed to make you rich. It was designed to be stable enough for the bank, long enough for the interest to compound in their favor, and expensive enough that you will not risk a career move that might break the payment. It is a product. You are the margin. Your parents won on a house because from 1980 to 2000, the average home appreciated faster than the stock market. Interest rates fell from 15% to 6%, and wages grew. None of those three tailwinds exist in 2026. You inherited their advice without inheriting their tailwinds. That is why the same decision that built their net worth is quietly eating yours. The rule: the asset that made your parents rich is not automatically the asset that will make you rich. The house is neutral. The math is not. If you only remember one sentence from this entire video, let it be this one. Advice without the matching tailwinds is just folklore. So when does buying actually win? For specific scenarios. 1. You are staying for at least 10 years in the same metro area with no career pivots coming. Under 10 years, the transaction costs swallow the gains. 2. You are buying significantly below your maximum approved amount, a house price at 2 times your household income instead of 5. The cheaper house leaves room for the portfolio to keep compounding alongside. 3. You live in a high rent, low price to rent ratio market where the price to annual rent ratio is under 15. Think Pittsburgh, Cleveland, parts of Texas. In those markets, the math flips. 4. You are buying a small multifamily and living in one unit while the tenants pay down the mortgage. You have turned the house from a consumption good into a cash flow asset. Outside of those 4, the math usually says rent, invest the difference, and stay mobile. It is not anti-American to rent. It is anti-math to pretend the bank is your friend. Here is a decision framework to run before any next house, for you or for anyone. Step 1. Calculate the price to annual rent ratio in your neighborhood. Under 15, buying may win. Over 20, renting almost always wins. Step 2. Run the real payment, not the sticker. Principal, interest, taxes, insurance, HOA, PMI, plus a maintenance reserve at 1.5% of purchase price per year, compared to real rent. Step 3. Ask the horizon question. Will you be in this exact metro for 10 years with no pivots? If the honest answer is maybe not, the house is a liability. Step 4. Calculate the opportunity cost of the down payment at a conservative 7% real return and include it as a line item in the buy column. Step 5. Only now decide. If you still want to buy with your eyes open. If the math says rent, rent without shame. The math does not care about what your parents bought in 1990. A year later, you are standing in a different window. You sold the house. You took the lesson. You rent now deliberately in a building you would not have considered before. Your monthly housing cost is lower than the true payment on the old Colonial. The difference, every dollar of it, goes into a 3-fund portfolio. Your net worth is higher than it was at closing day. You took the job in Austin. You can move again next year if you want to. You are not renting because you failed. You are renting because you ran the numbers. The rule you now live by. A house is a lifestyle choice wearing the costume of an investment. Some years the costume is cheap. Some years it is the most expensive thing you will ever wear. Know which year you are in before you sign. The industry will not run this math with you. The realtor will not. Your uncle at Thanksgiving will not. So you run it. Before you sign anything $500,000 shaped, you promise to open a real amortization schedule and a compound interest calculator in 2 tabs and look at them for 15 quiet minutes. Not for your parents. For you, a house is not a lie. A mortgage is not a trap, but the default setting of this decision, sold hard for 40 years, has been quietly built to make the bank rich and you stable. You can do better than stable. Run the math.